Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
Hello friends and welcome to this new video. In this video we are going to review the new products that our friends from MIG has just released for all the mechas and the robots we have. Some times ago they released the first book. Okay, let me see. Okay, is this one. In combat, the volume 1, well, as you can see, I use it a lot. Okay, and in this book, they have several mechas built from zero, in where we can see all the weathering and all the effects we can use in mechas. Okay, you can see here too how we can just custom. As you can see, is very used. Some pages just went out, and all the effects from chipping, for all the extreme weathering you can and you want to do. Okay, in the final pages, as you can see, we have several models in different types, some very heavy weather, uh, as you can see here. Okay, this one, and all another that are very new like this one. Okay, so it's a very useful, and for beginners and for experts is quite good. And they now released the volume 2. Okay, this one. As you can see inside this volume 2, well, I bought mine in Spanish, but you can find it in English too. You can find the first, the advertised for the In Combat Volume 1, okay, both in English and Spanish, and some already built models. The first one is a perfect grade on strike. We can see here how they build a very clean build, and then after showing how the mecha is built, how we can start with the paint and all the weathering, and then just see the final result. Okay, then the next one is Geradoga with a diorama. This is heaviest weathered. As you can see here, they explain how to start the paint, how to start with the diorama, and then they show the final weathering steps and how to integrate. The next one is a Thaku one made by an artist called Oishi. It's very interesting, this artist, as he uses the the lights. Okay, he uses the black and white technique just to start, and you can see the modulation in the paint, and then he applies a very heavy weathering. Very interesting. Okay, is one I recommend you to follow. Now we can just see an MG Safavi Bird Ka, the version Kaishi, with a very clean build and paint, just using the metal paints and how to polish them with the different sandpaper and the polishment, just to finish with this clean result you can see here. The next one is a pad labor. Okay, this is a 148 scale with a vehicle. You can see it is just an urban weather. Is more dirtiest with the rain strikes and all this. The next one is an XS Gundam 2 in G 100 scale with shadow depth effect. You can see the pretreatment they make with the paint just to accomplish this uh, effect, to give depth in the paint, just as is in the cave. And when you want to just emphasize the front, you can see here in the finished picture how this effect is done. The next one is a resin kit, 144 scale. Okay, this is customized, scratch made, very interesting. As you can see, all we can build just with a little of imagination and just trying to accomplish difficult projects, but how we can make these things we imagine. Okay, the next one is an MG Strike again with the black and white technique and markings, painted markings. Is quite interesting to see how they do the markings in the mecha. I think is quite interesting. And the next one is a Thaku Canon, an MG2 1/100 scale, and they show us how to paint a camo. I think is one of the more realistic models, or try to be one of the most realistic models, as the camo try to be as a real one. And now here we have the perfect grade 00 riser with a resin upgrade. Is a quite clean build with some customized just to adapt the resins with a quite clean result. And that's all. In this case, we have no gallery. Okay, as it has a gallery, it will be a bigger book, not so util when we are working in the workbench. And of course, with the amount of model it already has, if it has a gallery, probably the book will be more expensive. When they launched the first book, they launched two paint kits. Okay, the first one is this one, the Green Mecha Colors. Let me turn just to show you. This kit has 6 paint bottles, just with sort of green paints, very Thaku. Okay, all with the steering ball, as you can see here. Okay, the yellow tab is just this, and the mecha and robots colors that are more Gundam, as you can see here. Okay, we have these same 6 paints. This is the all package they has. Uh, I read it and I proof it, and they were quite good. And for the second round, they just launched 2 more sets that we are going to view now. The first one is this one, okay, the purple mechas, and the second one that is the metallic paints for mechas. Okay, 6 paints. We are not going to view in detail, as we are going to review how these paints works and how they can be used. Okay, as the way I used to try all the paints, just to see the texture and how they work. Okay, just let me put my paper here. Just a little flash of white. It's going to balance now and get ready in a second. That's it. And I left one of the colors of the first set, this one, okay, the violet paint, just to test it with you. And all the bottles that had the yellow tab, as I said, has the steering bowl. The format is the common one with all paints has nowadays, 17 milliliters of paint, and includes the steering bowl just to mix them, as you can see well after the use. How I test the colors? Well, first I take a plastic spoon. You can see. Let me zoom in. That's it. Then I prime in black first, and then without masking tape, I make this partition with white degradation. Why I do that? When we paint the model, no matter if a metal or whatever, we first make some presets, this pretreatment, just in order to make the shadows be seen later with the paint we use. So this is going to help us to see in the same surface how the paint is going to work with black and white. So in the same surface, we have both effects, only just to see how the paint is going to work. Okay, this is a normal spoon, okay, with a black primer you use normally. For the white stripe, I use to white or light gray primer is what I do. I prefer to use both primers to see the effect, but you can use white paint with no problem, okay? You can use it. As I said, it's just a white stripe, and that's all. Now we are going to test one of the paints I left. We are going to test the violet. I think it's the coolest one. Normally, I don't know the texture. Now I know it because I test some of them before, but usually I don't know. So I always mix the paint 50% thinner, 50% paint. You can use the brand, the same brand you are using the paint thinner, or you can make your own, as I said in all the videos. 80% distilled water, 15% crystal cleaner, and 5% acrylic thinner. Okay, that's the formula of generic acrylic thinner, the one you can use for painting with brass or with airbrush, as I said. So I mix the paint, 50% this homemade thinner, and half the paint we are going to use. And why 50%? Because I think that is the perfect mix for just see how the paint covers, but when it's quite diluted and I can see the effects. You will see that this paint is quite shiny and quite streaky, so I think is a good one. First of all, just work with a low flow of paint. Okay, just test it first in the paper, and then we go working in circles just to make the paint not to accumulate in any of part of the surface. Okay, we start just painting. You can see making circles, and it starts just the color. We can see that is starting to to be seen in the wet parts, not so much in the black parts. If you think that it can be so wet, you can just write with the airflow of the airbrush, okay? And then continue painting. It's very important not to accumulate too much paint in the same place and not to paint over wet surfaces. Another point of light, just to make you see better, and just a little more, and we stop here. I think it's enough. You can see quite well how the paint has covered. And now we clean the airbrush. It's very important to clean it before doing anything else, and then we will see the final result. Once airbrush is cleaned, now you can see here the effect of this color, the violet. Here you are, the violet, in this plastic spoon. And now I'm going to show you the rest of colors that are in this purple mega set. Okay, we are going to, I left out, as I said, the purple because I think was interesting, and we are going to view one by one the effect in this. Let's take this out, and the next is this one, the cyan one, and that's the effect on the spoon. As I said before, I'm not sponsored. I bought this by any brand. I bought this color because I'm going to use them. Now, there's going to be a change of sequence. The one you are going to see is silver gray. Okay, sorry by this jump in the scene. And the next one, let me open the box. We are going to review now the metallic ones. Let Okay, now the metallic ones. We have an orange, red, copper, blue, gold, and steel. Okay, so let me take the spoons. I've already painted them. Okay, just with the same technique. And I have to say that I'm quite surprised, well surprised by this. The pigment is very thin, and even they cover quite well. You can see. You can see the effects in the spoon. You can have a very well effect if you work in a black shiny base, uh, a very metallic effect. And I have to say that for work with them, I didn't need to thin them a lot, only maybe 55% thinner. Okay, and 75 percent of paint. And now we are going to see the brass. Okay, here you have. Maybe it can seem gold, but it's not gold. It's the brass color. You can see that it's not covering the white, but the metallic effect is over. Maybe in darkness you can see better, but I have a lot of light. I hope you can appreciate this. Okay, so even is quite covering all the piece. It's quite transparent for the effects we are going to make in the base. So we have to be so smooth when we are working with this. We can have great effects, but we must be conscious that it's quite translucent, and we can must work this way with it. Okay, let's go for the blue one. Okay, quite covering too. I don't need to thin. It's for some kind of mechas like the camphor. Uh, it's quite good for if you are looking for this shiny metallic effect or finish we saw before in the Safari. It's quite good. I think it's quite covering, and we can get great effects with this as is covering so much the effect of black and white we made in the spoon. Now that's the copper. The copper it's quite covering too, maybe more than the other one we saw before, but I like it. I'm quite surprised, as I said, that the pigment is quite thin and they are covering quite well the spoon. Now we go for the red one. It's very good for the safari, as we saw in the book, and for the I can't remember the name now. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. The other one that is perfect this color for, I can remember. Well, I possibly remember later. Okay, so that's the color. and it's very covering, very shiny, and respect the effects quite well. And this is the orange. The orange one, the same, quite covering, quite shiny, and I think is there are good color. Sinanju, that was the name. I remembered the name for the red one. So that's the orange is quite covering. You can use it for some pieces or on some thaku too. So I think is quite useful. And of course, for every other piece you need to paint in this color. It's not a normal color for makers, but I like it. I think it's quite brilliant. Uh, I think it's good. As we saw in the book, you can find a way to make it more shiny with the compound and all this. So I recommend you to buy. And I have to say that I'm quite happy with the all these paints, especially with the purple set. I think I'm going to use it quite soon because I have a pair of pieces that will have. And I hope you enjoy. I hope this is useful for you, the way I test the paints. I recommend you to do it because it's a good way to know how the paints work when you before you are just in working with a piece. And if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe if you want. It's free. So goodbye. Hasta luego.
Hop, tom, tom, lele, malang